Cancel.
Squeezy.
Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is the man I want to talk about today. Ryan Reynolds is known for being being a funny guy. He's a funny guy actor. In recent years he's been doing a lot of action movies, but not many people know he was the rom-com king for a second. He is the guy that Hallmark wants to find, but at a fraction of the cost. Like, he is who that is. I need to adjust here. No, I think we're good. He is the guy, know what I'm saying, that Hallmark wants, but like a cheap version of that, a really cheap version of that. And he's a king. He's the king. He's funny. He's charming. He has it all. He is by far the most handsomest man. And so, going on here, I watched a ton of old Ryan Reynolds movies, before the Deadpools and the action. Well, he was doing action movies, but he was doing a lot of rom-coms type of movies, fun comedies. So, yeah, let's get into it. I watched a bunch of them. I'll read what I will do is I'll read the description of the movie, and then I'll talk about it and continue on. So, so the first one I saw was The Proposal. Let's read it here. Faced with deportation to her native Canada, high-empowered book editor Margaret Tate, Sandra Bullock says she's engaged to marry Andrew Paxton, Ryan Reynolds. Her hapless assistant, Andrew, agrees to the charade, but imposes a few conditions of his own, including flying to Alaska to meet his eccentric family. With a suspicious immigration official always lurking nearby, Margaret and Andrew must stick to their wedding plan despite numerous mishaps. So, it is for the most part, I will say, it is a super interesting a movie, to say the least. Sandra Bullock, I believe, plays is good in the rom-com. I believe she was good in the rom-com, because, Sandra Bullock, she's like, she's attractive, but at the same time, she looks like she could be your boss. She looks like someone you work with, like, who is attractive, but someone you do work with, she does look like someone you could work with. So that's the thing. And so that's what makes it the perfect pair. And then, Ryan Reynolds is just perfect to begin with. I think it's funny that they use this whole immigration thing. That was very interesting. And like, everyone knows they're faking it, but they're just going along with it. And as long as they go along with it, I guess it works out. So it was really, really funny. And Betty White's in the movie. So clearly, I gotta say, solid movie. Alaska. It's a movie that takes place in Alaska, New York and Alaska. So, with it being in such a place, you rarely get to watch a movie based out of Alaska. So that's cool, as they say.
Cool stuff. Slick stuff.
And as they say. It was just funny. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm actually getting married to my assistant, Andrew. I'm like, that should have probably come up at work at some point, like that probably, probably could have been a problem for you. But, no, The Proposal, I gotta say, funny movie, a lot of good laughs, just random hijinks that really, really go off. So I really like The Proposal. And Sandra Bullock's always she's always good. A Sandra Bullock movie is always pretty good. So someone you like, someone you can work with. Then we have Van Wilder. The film follows the misadventures of its lead character, Van Wilder, a 7th-year senior who has made it his life goal to help undergrads at Coolidge College succeed in the future. So apparently, if you didn't know, Van Wilder was based off the fattest comedian ever, Brent Krishna. Yeah, Brent Krishna. And basically, also what happened is he was in Brent Krishna was in Rolling Stone, and he, that story got taken out. It inspired Van Wilder. Yada yada yada. Movie was made, but it's probably a little different from Bart's true origins. Van Wilder, I think Bart just couldn't graduate, but yeah, the Machine's out too, so that's cool. The Machine movie's out. But yeah, no, Van Wilder is like that seventh year senior, but like he's doing good. And I don't know. I always felt like he could do something at the school. I never watched the other ones. I don't want to watch the other ones, but I just watched the OG Van Wilder, and Tara Reid used to be like the hottie back then. Like she was the it girl for a moment, in all of our lives. So Van Wilder, that's a cool. That one's more of like a college comedy. So if you like a good college comedy, that's Van Wilder. If you want like super big romance, Van Wilder, not for certain. Van Wilder maybe for you. We got then another one. I think this one might be my favorite of all of them. Definitely maybe. Will Hayes, Ryan Reynolds, a 30-something Manhattanite, is in the middle of a divorce proceedings when his young daughter, Abigail Breslin, asks him about his life before marriage, including how he met and fell in love with her mother. Will flashes back to 1992 and recounts his romances with 3 women, changing their names so that his daughter must guess which one became his wife. So, yeah, it was a very interesting story because, like, the beginning of the movie, they talk about a divorce, and then, it steers you along the way, like this girl, like, Elizabeth Banks is the one who got divorced from, like, they were something back in Wisconsin, like, a big couple back in Wisconsin, but then he wanted to live in New York, and she wanted to do something else, and then eventually he saw some other girls, and then he came back together with her, but then they realized it wasn't going to work out between them. So yeah, definitely there. It was a cool twist on it. And Isla Fisher, total babe. Total babe. Now she's married to Sacha Baron Cohen, but like I feel like, back at the, I don't know how to say that. She's still a babe today, I'll be honest with you. So that's cool. So I liked her because she's funny and attractive for you. And it's definitely maybe. That's just a fun because you're like, I don't know, it feels like there's joy all the way through it. And it's fun and mischievous as well. And a good jolly old chant, I would say. Go check that out if you like. Definitely maybe if that sounds good to you. Then there's Just Friends. High school student Chris Brander, Ryan Reynolds, loves his best friend Jamie Palomino, Amy Smart. He finally confesses his feelings, but she tells him that she just wants to be friends, and he leaves town in shame. 10 years later, Chris is a successful record executive and involved with self-absorbed pop star Samantha James, Anna Harris. He still pines for Jamie, though, and when his plans to go to Paris for the holidays fall through, he returns to his hometown to try to win her heart. So, very interesting plot details there. I just like the idea, like, the beginning premise of the plot is super interesting to me in regards to Just Friends. So this guy and this girl, they've been kind of, interested in each other for a while. Seems like they've been interested in each other for a while. And eventually this boy proclaims his love for her. And she says, I love you like a friend, like just friends, like a friend, That's what she says. And this dude bolts. I think they said this takes place in like Trenton, New Jersey, I want to say. And he moved to Los Angeles. And so he went, considering like North America is basically kind of, if you consider everything's an island technically, he went to the opposite side of the island. Like, he went as far away as he could on, like, technically on foot, what it fucking sounds like. So, yeah, for 10 years. Like, he just dipped for 10 years. And then comes back to this town. He's like, I'm still in love with her. And now I'm not. And then, oh, yeah, and this is like, if you ever seen Ryan Reynolds in, like, the fat suit, that's from this movie, Just Friends. And so this one has some good comedy, I will say. Just like the idea he dipped out to California, like the opposite side of the country, after he gets rejected by a girl. Oh, yeah, and it was like a public thing, too, like how he got rejected. So, just saying there, yeah, that's Just Friends. Just a pretty good movie. School of Life, he had a smallish big role in that movie. Basically, here's the bio. A new teacher quickly becomes popular at his workplace, Fallbrook Middle School, attracting the attention and jealousy of a biology teacher who is obsessed with being elected Teacher of the Year. So, like, Ryan Reynolds is this hip, cool teacher, and this other guy, like, is kind of jealous and he wants to be Teacher of the Year. And then Ryan Reynolds gets, yeah, basically like that. So it's just misadventures, and then Ryan Reynolds gets cancer and dies, and so that's cool. So I think that's the only movie Ryan Reynolds dies. Mr. D. It's like D'Angelo, but he's like Mr. D. I'm like, D'Angelo's easy to say. I think you can just Mr. D'Angelo, or D'Angelo, I think that could have been easily solved. But yeah, I think this is the only Ryan Reynolds movie he made die in. Yeah, he didn't even technically die in X-Men Origins Wolverine either. So,
This guy stinks.
So yeah, that's School of Life. The Change Up. Oh yeah, we got the Change Up. Once inseparable pals, Dave, Jason Bateman, and Mitch, Ryan Reynolds, have drifted apart over the years. Dave is an overworked lawyer and family man, while Mitch has thus far avoided most of the normal responsibilities of adulthood. Each is envious of each other's lives, and following a drunken binge, the men awake to find they have somehow switched bodies. Dave and Mitch soon discover the things that are not as rosy as they seemed, and try to find a way to return their lives to normal. Yeah, no, dude, it's a fucking weird premise movie. So it's like Freaky Friday, but expanded and weirder. So, like, because it's like one guy's like the family man. He's like, he has kids, he doesn't party ever. And then there's like guys like me who are just single and do whatever the fuck they want. He's like, I wish I could have your life. I'm like, oh, but I wish I could have your life. And then they switch bodies. And it's always, and they're like, they had a whole scene that was just like, all right, we'll prove to you that we switched bodies. And so, like, he's like, all right, what's our anniversary? And then, like, and Jason Bateman remembered it, but, like, they're switched bodies, so it's like, how do you just, like, stop? Like, you should be able to actually prove, you're who's who, I don't know. And then they're just like, all right, I guess I'm going to be you and you're going to be me for a minute. Like, ha ha ha. I'm like, what? And weird. At one point, they're like, I think I want to stay like this. And then they're like, no, at the end, like at the last minute, no, I don't think I do. Then they, figure out how to get back, switch back, It's a fucking, strange movie. Kind of interesting to watch. You're like, huh. And then they're like, I guess he didn't have sex with his friend's wife. You gotta see some titties in that movie too. That also, I should have started with that. Sorry, folks. If you want to watch The Change, first of all, you're gonna see some titties. Leslie Mann's titties, dude. Does Olivia Wilde's? I don't know if I did see it or not. I think it was out. I've Googled nudes, and I'm like, yeah, I know there's nudes. I don't know what this was the movie. Well, and also Olivia Wilde. I see the appeal Harry Styles had. I see it. I see that shit. I see it. I get it. Me and Harry Styles were just the same guy. But yeah, no. So imagine if you and a friend switch bodies, and it's like, I don't know. It's just so weird. And like, oh yeah, this other guy's gonna raise my kids now. We're like, oh my So it's weird little premise, but interesting movie for you to watch. The last Ryan Reynolds movie I see, Chaos Theory. This movie is, I don't think it's that good. I'll read the celebrated author and efficiency expert Frank Allen, played by Ryan Reynolds, has always lived in step with the well-planned series of lists and timetables. His wife, Emily Mortimer, decides to play a joke on him and sets his clock back 10 minutes, but the consequences are far greater than expected as Frank's well-ordered existence unravels. He opens up to the randomness of life. So if I remember it correctly, what happened is, I'm gonna try to explain the movie to you as well. So back before everyone just had looked at their phone times, and even now some people don't even do that. Boomers usually. You just set your time manually. So someone set your time like 10 minutes forward or whatever, or 10 minutes back. Being 10 minutes late to something like that could really be a problem. So you really have to have your clock kind of correct. Anyways, that happens, and he ends up taking a pregnant woman who was in an emergency and needed to be taken to the hospital, and then accidentally Ryan Reynolds got marked down as the father, and so now that it was on legal paperwork or whatever, because it's like a birth certificate, he has to prove that he's not the father. So then he had to get tested to prove that he wasn't the father, and then in the testing, they said that he had 2 X chromosomes, which means he's sterile, he can't make a kid, but he has a daughter, and realizing it means that his wife cheated on him, and it was with his friend probably or whatever, and then he has to try to understand his life from there. It's a fucking crazy concept, and it's like the Butterfly Effect too. That's the best movie to compare this to, because it's you're just oh, if I don't meet this girl, or if I don't become friends and lovers with this girl or whatever, a ton of bad shit won't happen in someone's life or whatever. Yeah, it was like the Butterfly Effect, and it was crazy. And I think one of the endings was the baby, Ashton Kutcher's character was just stillborn or something like that, because it killed itself in the womb. And it was also mentioned in the movie that the mother had 2 other stillbirths before that. Well, it's oh no, are all these kids going through that trauma of all this trauma in their life and killing themselves so no trauma happens? It's crazy. But Chaos Theory is kind of similar to that, how his life unraveled. Because if he was on time, then what would happen was he would have never learned, I guess, that he was sterile, and that what he thought was his daughter is actually his daughter. So crazy movie. So those are Ryan Reynolds movies. Please enjoy at your own risk. And what a fucking funny guy, funny guy Ryan Reynolds is. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else. We got more clips and full episodes too. If you like what you watch, share with everyone you know. Subscribe to, ring the bell and come back soon, and you'll get to hear me say thank you for watching this clip.